Perception, reality. You, reality. Your dumb asses, reality. What is it that people don't get? No, people don't want to get it. Immediately after the announcement of the OLED Switch last year, the Switch Pro retardation persisted.
What will you learn? What will you learn? That your actions have consequences!
And that's the thing, you fucking idiots will never learn.
Trademark filing!
It's like renewing your license and paying your insurance every month. Because if you don't do those things, you're going to be legally in trouble. So a trademark filing doesn't necessarily mean shit.
Spending more on materials!
Yeah, because everything imaginable hasn't been inflated into the fucking stratosphere. That would make much more sense. Let's not forget the chip shortage that is still a thing. Even though the whole graphics card thing has calmed down, it was once a thing. So it's no surprise that people scalped graphics cards for the same fucking reason. Inflation. And it makes sense for a business to invest in raw materials because of inflation alone. You can't even get a 40-pack case of off-brand water without paying almost $6 for it. It isn't just the gas, ladies and gents, that people are spending fortunes on, so why wouldn't Nintendo spend more money on materials?
It must mean something, because they're spending more on that than they did before the Switch Lite creeps out.
Well, you smooth brains are exactly why these types of rumors persist. And is this even a clue?
Analysts agree.
Yeah, a bunch of dumbasses having no clue based off of anything agreeing is considered a clue. I'm just amazed that humanity only wants to get fucking dumber way more than I initially anticipated. What is it about you people? Are you trying to compensate for 2017? Why all of a sudden does 4K 120 FPS matter to you? I thought it was about the content, because anyone who's a fan of Nintendo, anyone who supports their gaming hardware already knows that Nintendo isn't the entity you run to for the latest and greatest spec sheet shit. Get your asses a PS5 or an Xbox Series X and be happy if you gotta have every bit of those gorgeous pixels and performance to jack off to. I'm just pointing out how fucking stupid and delusional people only want to get. You knew 5 years ago that the Switch was underpowered, and in case you all haven't been paying attention because your tiny brains, no, your empty skulls have been living under the same clueless rock, have you picked up on, and this is just a rhetorical question, do I need to define that as well for you dumbasses? The fact that the Switch since 2017 has only seen iterative changes. Well, obviously Nintendo decided to finally realize that OLED technology exists and is superior to LCD technology, and put an OLED panel along with smaller and much more visually appealing bezels into their latest iteration of underpowered gaming hardware that the Switch continues to be. Let's look at the grifting bombs that you dumbasses choose to give your lost souls to. It's the same shit.
Spent over 66 million yen on raw materials, twice they spent for the Switch Lite.
This is literally the same shit post. Who are these people? That's some serious piggyback plagiarizing. Oh, this is that Shokio dude. Let's see what else he has predicted. Trademarked NSW.
Clue 1, a trademark filing.
Privated their YouTube videos for the Lite and OLED. Remember, ladies and gents, this is the exact same guy that called you mentally ill over the Steve reveal for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate because you like something he didn't, and then he tried to play it off as a joke, which of course is the best way to destroy yourself. After making a jackass of yourself, never backpedal. You got busted making a fool of yourself. Own up to it. But that's this guy. See how many fucking idiots believed him. Now, because you smooth brains need people to hold your hand, wipe your ass, spell things out for you, look both ways twice before helping to assist you in crossing any road, take a look at this. Apparently, major videos typically typically have music or actors, you know, like Jessica Alba, Christina Aguilera, etc., which are licensed for use for a year, then need to be renewed or taken down. This is most likely nothing like the nobodies on YouTube alone that you're constantly and brainlessly supporting to fuel your hopes and dreams, i.e. delusions of grandeur, into believing bullshit with no kind of honesty and substance attached to them, and they're the same
rumors and leaks.
faux pas echo chambers.
Oh look, Nintendo made their OLED Switch and Switch Lite videos private. It must mean something. It has to mean something. Ding ding ding, bullshit conspiracy theory time.
Some of these are incredibly fucking blatant, but yet you click on them anyway. Look at this Switch Force grifting bomb. The dude literally blurs an image of the Splatoon 3 edition of the Switch OLED and titles the video,
New Switch just announced for 2022, official trailer, new Switch OLED.
because e-bombing trash like this knows that they can get away with it, courtesy of people like you. The Switch Pro trailer is coming, and look at the frequency of these shit posts. All of these obvious lies based off of absolutely nothing, and it takes nothing more than a look at the thumbnail and the brain dead title he struggles to name these shit posts for you all to see. And it took him no time to claim that another huge Switch announcement is coming. Congratulations, you played yourselves. Oh, look at Sean. But at least he's honest about getting his bag, because that's all they're doing off of you dumbasses. But being self-aware that you're nothing more than a grifting e-bomb because you can't punch a clock in the daytime doesn't make you any less shitty than the rest of the frauds on platforms like YouTube that are very rewarding of poor excuse content creators like all of these grifters. But this is what they're doing. They're getting their ad revenue bag off of you dumb shits. There was never any Switch Pro in the works. These people took all of these fumes from you dummies being let down time and again when the Switch Pro didn't happen. It didn't happen around the Mark II Switch. It didn't happen around the Switch Lite. It didn't happen around the Switch OLED. And instead of it happening now, guess what happened? You're looking right at it, geniuses.
Is Nintendo lying about the Switch Pro in 2020?
No, it's fucking ass clowns like you, Sean, lying about it and fueling an idiot simp audience to believe your lies because it's that fucking easy. What am I doing with my life outside of the internet if it's this damn easy to get that bag? Just sell out and lie to fucking idiots because that's what people want you to do to them. Dreamcast guy, making excuses for this type of scum doesn't make the situation better. It's about compensation. People haven't figured out for 5 years now that the Switch struggles to give you 1080p at 60 FPS. So they delusionally believe that somehow Nintendo, maybe from the ether or whatnot, is going to manage to create gaming hardware anytime soon that will give people the PS5 and Xbox Series X experience. When this company has only ever been about being behind everyone else on the tech curve and being more about content. These are the same idiots that are hot and bothered now all of a sudden that the Switch is so underpowered compared to the competition because they're too stupid to figure out in 5 years even that sad reality that never went anywhere and has only ever seen iterative additions of itself.
I'm surprised that idiots on Twitter don't understand that people aren't mad that the Switch Pro rumors were lies. They're mad that the new Switch model doesn't improve the performance.
Everything I said about these types of smooth brains are only reinforced more and more by the same smooth brains. Again, we're talking about Nintendo here. What did you expect? You got a Mark II Switch and a Switch Lite prior to the OLED Switch. What made you think that Nintendo of all people was going to give you 4K 120 FPS as the latest and greatest Switch? Because fucking idiots like this haven't figured out in 5 years and even 4 years at the time what they purchased from Nintendo for this generation of gaming in the Nintendo realm.
We were all wrong about the Switch Pro.
It's safe to say that you all were clueless and delusional the whole time, but guess what? That's not going to stop the Switch 2 rumors now from starting up all over again. All because of a new NSW trademark in Europe.
I was sent a $1,400 Switch Pro.
Yeah, a modded Switch is a Switch Pro. And even shit like this is something you smooth brains will pick up on immediately. Just because it fuels your brain dead delusions.
Switch 2, 10 things we want. Switch Pro just leaked.
Hardware rumor leak review. Blatant clickbait like this is a dime a dozen and it draws you dummies in every time. It's a coping struggle. As I said earlier, the Switch was always underpowered gaming hardware. You all know this and have known this for 5 years. Your brains are just too small to cope with reality because you live in a very ill-perceived world and you have this very unhealthy optimism that you try to use to shield you from the reality of the type of company Nintendo always was. You look over there at Microsoft and Sony and you realize how shitty your standards always were for settling for Nintendo's underpowered gaming hardware, among other things. And that's why all of a sudden 4K 120 FPS and that other specs sheet stuff suddenly matters to you. But remember, this is the same company that not only invented an 8-bit juggernaut, but took nearly a decade to put a colored display inside the damn thing. Not a backlit and colored display. No. Those were separate entities, by the way, as most of us only saw the colored entity and only Japan saw the light edition of the Game Boy. It would take until the Game Boy Advance SP to combine backlight technology when the 001 models of the Game Boy Advance SP were front lit at that, and a colored display when we had the likes of the Sega Game Gear over a decade ago give us just that. But of course at the expense of murdering all 6 of your AA batteries within the hour, while otherwise stacking an unhealthy amount of weight on your power bill. But the point stands, Nintendo took over a decade to give you the same handheld experience with backlight technology and a colored display, and people are suddenly, even after 5 years, expecting Nintendo to give them a 4K 120 FPS gaming experience anytime soon, let alone in the same generation as their underpowered gaming hardware. Get a fucking clue. This is also the exact same gaming entity that took until the Wii U to give you your first HD gaming experience in the Nintendo realm, when Sony and Microsoft were asking them, this is your first time, huh? Nintendo would struggle and is better off struggling to upscale everything imaginable to a quad HD 60 FPS gaming experience, if that, in even 2 more generations of gaming before they get anywhere near those PS5 and Xbox Series X numbers. Oh, and please don't mention the likes of ray tracing, Unreal Engine 5, etc. Don't do that to your precious Nintendo. Stop compensating because you decided to settle 5 years ago. Your standards were shitty then, just like the Nintendo Switch was underpowered then. When you know it, nothing has changed in either of those aspects. And if you have to have that 4K 120 FPS experience because suddenly your standards and the bar for that matter have materialized out of nowhere, then again, continue being the laughingstock of the internet. After all, you're the same people that will bitch about something 1 second and be right there on launch day supporting it the next. Keep supporting and perpetuating your path to failure and disappointment.